Welcome to Grow Up Level Up. I am your host, Samson. And before we dive into this episode, I just want to provide a trigger warning. This episode contains discussions about suicide and emotional abuse, which may be triggering for some listeners. If you feel uncomfortable or need support, please consider skipping this episode. Your well-being is important to us. Additionally, and unfortunately, we experienced some audio issues during the recording of this episode, and I apologize for less than ideal audio quality. We strive to provide the best listening experience possible and are working to resolve these issues for the next one. Thank you for your understanding, and if you choose to, I hope you enjoy this episode.
All right. Hello, everybody on the internet. Welcome back to the Grow Up Level Up podcast. I am your host, Samson, as always. And today on the Grow Up Level Up podcast, I, of course, have another special guest, but we'll get into that in a second because I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. I was sick for a week and then you don't do it for like 2 weeks and you lose it all.
The equilibrium has to be fixed. I respect
exactly. So welcome to the Grow Up Level Up podcast. It's a podcast where we talk to folks about the fun and games that help them grow up and the role it plays today in their adult lives. And my goal for this podcast is just to highlight how fun and games are a good thing in our lives. I feel like people always get hung up on, oh, you're addicted to games. You're never being productive, but fun can be productive. And we're here to explore what that means. So today on the podcast, we are bringing in the legendary Briggsy.
Oh, I'm a legend now? Oh, dear.
I think so. I
hope I don't disappoint.
Well, Briggsy, in about 60 seconds or less, can you maybe introduce yourself and what you do?
Floridian show. Okay. Well, my name is Brittany and Angelica Gonzalez. I am better known to the community as Briggsycakes. I was formerly an investigative journalist in esports. Before that, I was well known and Overwatch League fan. By accident, I may reiterate. And I basically am also known for at least making a valid attempt to speak for disenfranchised and marginalized video games. And I am currently a producer for the game studio Waking Oni, which is a studio that elevates Black voices while exploring intercultural diversity between Black and Japanese culture.
Wow, that is really cool. I can't wait to talk a little bit more about maybe your experience with everything so far, as well as your experience going forward with, is it Walking Oni or Waking Oni?
Waking Oni. As in
Waking Oni. Sorry. Wake up. Yeah. Excellent. So a little bit of housekeeping before we get into all the fun stuff. First thing is make sure you're following us on all the socials at Grow Up Level Up, or if you want to follow me personally and take a look at all my food pictures and cat pictures. But I really appreciate it. You can follow me at SamsonXP. And while you're watching, listening, wherever you are, feel free to leave a comment or a rating, whatever you think. I am super open to feedback. You could even DM it to me. I'm super open. Another exciting announcement is that through my sickness last week, I launched the Grow Up Level Up Patreon that you can check out. Thank you. That you can check out at patreon.com/growuplevelup. This is just a little bit of an experiment I'm trying. I want to learn a little bit more about the content creation and how the heck you monetize it. So if you feel so obliged, I would really appreciate your support because I believe the only tier on there is $1. And for that $1, you'll get a bonus episode a month about something I want to talk about. I already have an idea on my mind. So if you want like a solo podcast and to be a part of that, get onto the Patreon. You will also be shouted out as a producer for Grow Up Level Up. And our one producer this week or this month is Lucas Gates, my buddy, who was actually a guest on Grow Up Level Up before. Lucas does great work in Vancouver with the autism community, and he is a advocate for accessibility in not just games, but in society in general. So shout out to Lucas Gates. Yeah. Really, really good friends with him. He is a big supporter of the show. So thank you, Lucas.
Thank you, Lucas.
Let's get on with the podcast. What are you drinking today, Briggsy?
Okay. So I thought long and hard about this. You graciously invited me to the show, and I had many options because I overthink things. You know, being autistic and ADHD rid myself, we overthink shit. But I decided to go back to my roots. So right now I decided I would treat myself. And I made one of my favorites of all time. This is basically a vanilla malted milkshake. Homemade.
Wow.
Got all the ingredients, everything. Very simple to make with whipped cream and top of the raspberry, because raspberries are like, I think now, you can tell. But the reason why I chose this was because I first got a vanilla malt milkshake back in New York when Shake Shack was in its infancy, and it just started getting popular. And this was maybe, 10, maybe 15 years ago when I lived in New York. So I was impressed by the fact that I didn't know what a malt milkshake was. Ever since I drank it, I was addicted to it for a time. And every time I drink it, it makes me happy. So I figured, given the pretty positive podcast, I'd rather drink something that makes me happy.
That is pretty awesome. When you were telling me earlier, like you were planning your drink, I was like, oh, don't overspank it. Like grab some water. But a milkshake is definitely awesome.
It's so good. I feel like it's low key, like getting like a bad rep lately because no sugar. You can't have sugar. I'm like, you can have sugar unless you're diabetic. Like, ew. Don't have like 3 of them at once. It's like,
don't have this for all of your meals.
Don't have
of the day.
this for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it's fine.
Yeah, no, it's good. For our audio listeners, I recommend you check out the video version because that milkshake is definitely one for the camera.
I'll send you pictures. I took a couple.
Okay, great.
I couldn't help myself.
No, it's awesome. I think it's great. I think you have the best drink so far out of all our guests. So you
let me know because I want to know what amazing drink tops this. So I want to try that.
Ooh,
let me know. I'm pumped to try it.
Yeah, maybe we should do like a drinks power ranking kind of thing.
That's what the gamers do, right?
Yeah, tier list. Yeah.
Oh. Wait, can we curse on this podcast?
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay, because I was gonna say, don't just do like a drinks we want to fuck, like that kind of podcast. I've been seeing a lot of those on Twitter, and I'm like, all right, either I'm getting old or I'm like getting horny because goddamn.
People getting too comfortable online.
Yeah, I was reminded God forgive me, you can edit this out. I was reminded of what a sloppy toppy was, and I said, I am old. Because before I would fall off the floor laughing, but now I'm just sitting here like, oh my God. Our youth. What are we going to do?
Talking freely on the internet. Yeah.
Yep.
Remember, kids, there is something called a digital footprint.
There is.
So definitely watch out for that.
Control it.
But
it's
true.
Okay. You can talk about sloppy toppies. Just expect me to roast you about it.
Yeah. Expect everybody else to see you in that light. It's part of what we do on this podcast. We instill wisdom into the youth. The second question I have to ask you is, what are your top 3 video games of all time? Big question.
Yes, it is a big question, and one that I actually deign to overthink about because like I've been playing games since I was 2. Like we're talking like 35 years of gaming right here. But I would say one of them is definitely, I'll say this in a sense, like it really, because I know this is probably going to be something that'll be asked later, but I also thought of it in a sense like what I won't forget and what had the most impact. So I think probably the first game would probably be Super Mario 64.
Yep.
And I know that's a common one, but that like has childhood like memories. Like that was when I knew my mom got me the N64, got me Super Mario 64. The year it came out, it was in a time when getting that was so cool. Like we didn't have Twitter, we didn't have like all the internet stuff. There was no FOMO. It wasn't the same way it is like in a technological sense. Like if you got to the store, you bought it, you got it. If you couldn't get it, you waited a few months. It was fine. Nobody really killed each other over it yet. Say that for Black Friday. But that was like the first game where I was like genuine. Well, one of the first games. I'll get to the second game. But that was like the game that was like, it transformed Nintendo. Like it point blank. Every single subsequent game that came out after that, probably save for Super Mario Sunshine, which is, I would probably put that and Super Mario 64 together as like one of my favorite games. Those are probably the most influential games in Nintendo's history. Because just the sheer dynamics, like you didn't wall kick before, you didn't spin before, you didn't double jump, you didn't do all those things in the regular Mario games. And all of those movesets were implemented in every subsequent Mario game from then. And they just made them better with each other game, like Galaxy, Wonder, and all the other games like Paper Mario. That's the type of influence people want to achieve. Like you want to set a standard that stands the test of time. And in this case, almost 30 years.
Wow.
So that's why those are important to me. The second one would be in the same realm, and that's Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And that was because that was technically the first gaming system I received as a child before N64. Like I have a distinct memory of this, of just, I was back in Philly. I just remember, I think I was like 5 or 6 years old. I was wearing a pink and blue Minnie Mouse nightie.
Oh, wow.
And I just remember some noise coming downstairs like Christmas Eve. And I think maybe it was like early in the morning. Maybe it was like 5, 6 in the morning. I can't remember. I know the sun wasn't up. So I just come pitter-pattering down the stairs and I just see Emerald Hill Zone play on the screen, on the TV screen. And my mom just diligently hooking it up overnight.
Oh, I see what's going on.
Yeah, my parents were nerds. We'll get to that.
Okay.
My mom was definitely a nerd, but she hooked it up because she used to play video games. But since she had kids, she didn't have time to play, obviously.
Yeah.
So she would buy all the systems because we obviously inherited that particular interest from them. So I just remember running downstairs, immediately beeline to the Genesis, and I'd play that game all day. My mom would just hand me cinnamon rolls, hand me my lunch. I had to get out for dinner, which is fine because, you know, Christmas dinner, but I played that I played that shit all night. It was
That's awesome.
And you said 3, right?
3, you got one more?
You know what? This might be a controversial take.
Okay.
But I probably would not be, and it would be very disingenuous of me to say any other ones. Because I have others like Undertale, Danganronpa, all their other games that have made a massive impact in my life. Like even on my stream, I have like Debate Scrum from Danganronpa 3 as my theme song.
Oh, yeah.
But I would not be in any of these positions today if it wasn't for Overwatch. Hear me out.
Wow.
Hear me out.
Yeah.
I mean Overwatch 1.
Yes. Yeah. From a while ago.
I know, controversial. I know, very spicy, hot take. You know, hot shit take. I get it. It's hard to say this because of my own personal experiences with the game, with the community, with everything have been very bittersweet.
Sure.
But I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I didn't have a fantastic time with Overwatch. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that that wasn't pivotal with where my career path has gone since then. I think it would be very, not only disingenuous, I think it would just be very foolhardy of me to not recognize how important that game was to me, good and bad. And I think if we are going to grow as people, we have to recognize that. We have to recognize that there was good and that there was bad. And no matter what state the game is in right now, that by remembering how it used to be, that allows us to have standards as to what we want our games to be. So I think Overwatch 1 does rank up there because I think somebody had mentioned to me years ago that this game could have been like video games Avengers. It could have been like their whole empire with how deep the lore could have been. But, you know, as Joni Mitchell once saying, you don't know what you got till it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's probably why it's still one of my favorites because I know how good it could be.
Yeah. Wow. That is, first of all, thank you for such like an in-depth answer from not just personal relationship, but a game design perspective. And I get you bring that from being a producer, but a cultural perspective too. Like I think with your answers of Mario and Overwatch, it is interesting how much they have changed everything. But it kind of went 2 different ways where Mario kind of influenced everything and it's remembered fondly. And Overwatch, it's also one of my top 3 games. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. It's interesting how the mighty have fallen or it's a potential thing.
Tripped, drowned, set itself on fire, fell into the sea, fell into the holes, fell into space, silenced. Did I miss anything? How else did Rasputin die? What else? He got his balls cut off. He got poisoned, stabbed,
something like that.
Thrown into a fire. Yeah,
in a dance or something.
Canon. Overwatch 2 is Rasputin. Canon.
Oh, that is an interesting. Yeah, that is a good one.
That's
too.
Gonna be character worth how many?
I think we're at like 30 something, maybe 40.
Right. Character 35. Rasputin.
Ooh, that'd be really fun. All right. Thank you for sharing your top 3 games. That was amazing. Thank you for all your answers. It's so cool to hear. What are my top 3 games?
Yes.
Well, I'll give you the quick rundown, but I did do an AMA a while ago that I did go on. But like you, it's hard to pick depending on the day. And not just like you, a lot of our guests. Off the top of my head right now, I really want to play Pokemon Black and White again. That was my favorite Pokemon games.
Yep.
Overwatch is up there as well. I would not be the person I was today without that game coming out. And my last one, this one is a little hot, but I'm going to put Marvel Snap up there. It's still a very new game.
No, I get it. I get it.
And I'm like playing it every day, and it's the perfect gym game. It's the perfect killing time on transit game. I could watch a TV show to it. Like,
yeah, I need to finally get into that. Like, I kind of dabble in a bit, but I haven't had time because this year was just hell. But I really enjoyed it, and every single person I've seen who's played it enjoyed it. So I want to stand by with that.
Yeah, it is super fun. I enjoy passing time with it, I guess is another way to think about it. Thank you for getting me to share your 3 games. I'll share my 3 games. So I want to talk a little bit about your job at Waking Oni as a game producer or a producer. Can you elaborate what your role is and responsibilities are at Waking Oni?
There's quite a few, but generally since Waking Oni tends to be an independent studio, and we thrive on the fact that we have people from all over the world, not the country, all over the world. We have people from England, and we have people from all over the country. And my position is basically to make sure that generally, and I'm speaking in generalizations because I inherently am an instinctive person, and as eloquent and as articulate as I can be, it's just easier for me to describe. Like, not to mention, I suck at talking about myself. So what I basically do is inherently, the bare bones of it is to make sure everything is working accordingly and together. It's to make sure that each department has everything they need in order to create a successful game. So I have to make sure it has their software, has the ability to work with the engine that we're using, has, if there's any setbacks into development, I have to figure out to assess them and figure out how to basically confront them. And when it comes to the art department, I have to see if, our game designer or my boss, the owner, Derek, is able to approve, the design, the art, the concept art, this character design, everything. We have 3D animators who have literally brought our characters to life. We have amazing narrative writers who have created a very poignant story. And essentially, my job is to basically make sure everybody comes together and everybody is able to work well together. And I am able to basically assign deadlines, basically lay out what exactly needs to be done in particular timelines, which are also called sprints. I use a system, the Scrum system, the Agile systems. You probably heard of those floating around in game development. Basically, they are methods of basically working on a project, even in software and gaming, that allows the process. The reason why I got into it is, believe it or not, I had no production when I got this job. I applied on a whim thanks to a friend of mine was recommending that to me after I knew them from a game I promoted from them, which is called Arcade Spirits, which is a fantastic game. Highly recommend that. So after I promoted and played that game, I was looking for work because at that point I had just gotten out of the hospital work again. And she recommended me to Derek, who interviewed me and said I was a perfect fit. And I personally, not only I got the job despite my lack of experience, I think that it's very similar to my own background. And that was really administration, accounting, customer service. A lot of these soft skills, that is essentially what a producer does. A producer essentially is trying to smooth things over when things go wrong and lift people up. And I pride myself on doing that. And I also think, my experience in Overwatch League taught me that. Because if you're any sort of sports fan, whether it be esports or anything, you're going to cheer your team on through thick and thin. Hell, you'll even get the Lulu and start cheering them on even when they mess up or act stupid. But again, we'll talk about that later. But essentially what a producer is what they essentially do. It's the same as in any other media, as in movies or anything. They help find financing. They help make sure everything is organized. They help with casting. They help with the hiring. They help with everything. I am just here to make sure everything runs smoothly, that everyone is having fun, and that if there are any issues, instead of running from them, we confront them and we deal with them.
Wow. So that is a great answer. Amazing. Thank you for sharing what your what your life is like and your day-to-day is like. It sounds like a lot. Like you brought in things about finding financing, which is its own skill, but also people
Derek
management.
Mostly handles
right?
that. He's really good at that. I'm naturally intuitive. So I'm like, okay, I need to know exactly how to do this. And also, since, as you already knew, I've had to fundraise before, not only for like charities, but like most people, I had to do so for myself. So I already knew the ins and outs of trying to raise money for a project you believe in. So seeing Derek do that too, and seeing like people like Kara and everybody else who I work with, they're literally every single person there is amazing. Like there's no, you know, in any office setting, in any work setting, you're going to have one or two people where you're just like, oh, Ian, why is it here? What? You know, you have those, which is fine. Nobody's going to like each other. We're not Care Bears.
Yeah.
But this is the first job I've had in my 37 years on this planet that I will ride or die for.
It's awesome.
Because I was also hired around the time when when my father was diagnosed with cancer and everything like that. So it was a rough time. And they stuck by me. When I got COVID, they said, take your black ass to bed. We'll handle this. When I was grieving over my dad, they said, take your ass to bed. We'll handle this. They believed in me. They even helped me with my own problems. Like we take care of each other. We support each other. And I think being a producer, that is kind of the environment I want to cultivate. But I'm also not going to sit here and take all the credit. You just also have to have good people who believe in each other. Don't try to compete each other, because I understand gaming is a very vicious industry. We both know that. But it doesn't have to be. So I think that's what the most important thing is, even especially when it comes to fundraising, when it comes to any other of probably the most daunting aspects of games production. If you remember that the worst case scenario is that people are going to tell you no, it is so much easier to deal with. Because it's not about rejection. It's just about understanding that people won't pick up what you're dropping. And then spaghetti's all over the floor. That's okay. You can make another bowl. Pasta's cheap. So that's what it boils down to. You see that in every media. You see that with acting. You see it with everything. You see it in casting. It's just, I think this day and age, people are just scared to be told no because they take it as their own identity. They make that their binding thing. And it's like, no, you're so much more than that. No, you're so sexy. You don't need to do that. Fine.
It's true.
I'm rambling, and I'm going to take a sip of my milkshake.
No, I think you hit on a lot of things that I definitely agree and resonate with. I think the first thing is having a team that has your back, like having a team that just tells you it's okay to take a break. Like it's okay in your case to grieve. It's to heal yourself. Like that is so major. And I've worked a lot of different jobs in different industries, and the job I'm in now, I have that team, and it is a great feeling.
So great, right?
So yeah,
you like want to get up in the morning. It's funny.
Yeah, it's like not a big deal to go to work. You don't have to get high.
Yeah. So I feel like if you go to lunch and you try to pull a Mad Men before you go back to work, and you get like one or two cocktails, because I will admit that's happened to me before. I won't say which job, but there was one job where I was like, for the first time in my whole life, I actually was like, I need it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like that is not it's not healthy for yourself or your work. So what are you even doing there? Like,
yeah. Like, and the thing is, I'm not going to hate on people who do it, because I get it. Your brain is just like, I need this because I need to pay my bills. But my thing was this: I think people need to quit more. I'm just going to say, I think people need to fucking just quit more and just find jobs that suit them instead of, and I know it's easier said than done. I'm working class too. I get it. But I found out over these past couple of years, it's much easier for me to turn down jobs I know will make me miserable than just take a job just for money. And I know a big part of it was having, thankfully, a great support system like you guys in my community. But I don't take that for granted. So seeing you have a good job like that, like it warms my fucking heart, because
thank you. Especially
in gaming, you don't see that. I'm gonna be honest, you don't. They just laid off 2,000 fucking people.
Oh yeah. I have a couple.
We'll get that.
So if you haven't caught on from this episode so far, the episode is about working in games. It's about what it's like, and especially in the year 2024, where people are getting laid off every week. Like, is it even worth it? Like, games are fun to play. Is it fun to make a game? Is it worth your time? And that is a whole loaded question I just threw out there. But
that's fine. Yeah. I'm prepared.
Getting back to the topic, just want to point out one more thing is like, hearing that you found a team that works for you. and a team that works with you. Oh, I actually remember what I was going to say. I was just rambling on as well.
Dude, I got ADHD. You're fine.
Yeah,
I've done worse. I've been rambling for 15 minutes. I literally have a freaking command in my chat that says !TED Talk. So I talk too damn much.
That is awesome. I'm
like, Shazir, put this shit in. It's so hilarious.
Being okay with being told no and like it's not good or all that, because like people are afraid to be told no. I feel like it's a normal thing to feel bad about being rejected, but
for sure.
At the same time, you are making a product. You're maybe commenting on your work and not necessarily you as a person. Like it's okay to be to work on that. Yeah. People flame me all the time in my plat games. Like
who's done that?
Can't say I don't. I just block and move on. Just block and move on.
I just want to talk. We'll get to that. I'll behave.
Yes, going back to the topic. I feel like I'm not diagnosed with ADHD, so I cannot say I'm not a doctor either. I just feel like I've fallen to that camp sometimes as well.
If it's any consolation, I didn't know until like last year.
Yeah.
And it was only because my cousin had told me after my father passed that he had autism, had ADHD.
Oh,
and my grandfather did.
Oh.
And my cousin did.
Okay.
I'm like, but my parents divorced when I was 5, so there was no way for like my mother to be like, okay, maybe this is the issue, because this wasn't something that was common when we were growing up. We weren't like privy to that. And of course, I did well in school. Like there wasn't any learning disabilities. I didn't have any problems. The only issue was I would be obsessed with things, you know. But she just believed, which is understandable, that it was just me being funny or whatever.
Yeah, it's just your personality. Like,
right.
That's what a lot of people talk about.
It wasn't something she couldn't deal with, but it was more that, you know, the depression and anxiety, that was stuff where she was like, you got to go get help.
Really?
You know, like, and even when I was like, I think at one point I was misdiagnosed with bipolar. Oh. And even though like at the time I believed it, she even said, I just want you to get help. It's fine. I'm not mad at you. I was fortunate enough to just not come from a family who hated on mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially in the Black community, we still get that, you know, but we were not that family.
That's good.
You know, learning that at a big age, you're just like, oh.
Explains so much.
My God, no wonder I was driving people crazy. That makes sense, but it's fine as long as I know. I'm never the type of person to be like, I'm wasting my life. Even though I literally said that this morning. I was like, I'm not wasting my life. But most of the time, I just feel like better late than never.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's a lot of like healing as well in that. Just knowing, just knowledge. It's just knowing and
just makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So even if you're not diagnosed yet, try to see if you can get one. And if it's not, then you're like, okay, fine. I just need to focus more. What can I do to focus? Maybe I'll drink some matcha or some shit. I don't know. Mm-hmm. At least you find a way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what it boils down to. My problem is when people use it as an excuse to be assholes. But again, we'll get to that.
Yeah. That is a thing. We'll get to that. Going back to the conversation at hand. Can you walk us through a day of your life at Waking Oni games? Walk us through a day of your life.
Your mind's about to be blown.
Sure.
Okay. You ready for this shit?
9 a.m. What's going on?
I get my black ass up. I go get trained by my lovely trainer, Alexa.
Oh, cool.
That's why I'm a big, strong boy now. I come back. I either eat a protein shake or a breakfast. I sit at my computer desk. Now, we're on hiatus now because of like, you know, but generally during the day, I would just basically look over our Notion and Trello, although we're testing out different kinds of like organizational software at the point by the time before the hiatus. So I'm just basing it on what I did before that. So basically look at Trello, see what deadlines were hit, what deadlines need to be hit. If I need to create a new sprint or a timeline based on an assignment that we would need to complete within a couple of weeks. The sprints I created, since the project was pretty small, were about 2 week increments. Yeah. But I'm working on making bigger ones. And then I had ideas to make a calendar and stuff and all of this. And so I basically would check in with every department, see where we stand. I would help organize the meetings with Derek, Kara, and Ash, who's another member, very lovely, loves metal like me. And I would speak with them in regards to what they want to accomplish with this particular week. We would have weekly meetings, we would organize them. But generally during the day is a lot of organization, a lot of checking in, a lot of future planning, a lot of research personally, because again, since I was new to the position, clearly there was a lot I needed to learn. So I would also spend time, which I also recommend if you have the time. I feel like people are not stressing this enough. Take certifications.
Huh.
Take courses while you work. I feel like this is not advertised enough when you're looking for a job. Try to find a job that will pay for your dang classes. Try to find a job that will pay you to go back to school if you want to. You want to find jobs that want you to invest in yourself. I was unfortunate enough to not get that for many of my positions because I only worked to live. I didn't work to better myself. It wasn't until this job, and even after that, and my bosses were so patient with me. They really were. Like, I could not even comprehend the sheer amount of patience because they believed in me. So I couldn't let them down. But what I made sure I did, and I'm even going to do this after I finish with you, I'm going to go either after I stream, I'm going to take another class. Like right now, I'm currently learning cybersecurity.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm working on marketing. And I'm going to refresh myself on Scrum and Agile so I can finally be certified officially within the next 2 months.
Wow.
Whether that gets me a better job, I don't know. I just always had an inclination to learn more. And especially if I'm put in a position that I don't have any real world experience in yet. And that's what I do during the day. If there's nothing else to do other than the organizing, the Trello, the meetings, the game development, if there's nothing else to do in a day, which is rare, I learn something new.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
no, I think that is, I totally agree with that. Like, I love learning
I didn't
as
ramble
well.
again.
No. It's all good because it's not rambling when it's, like we're learning more and it's of value.
I just wish I had like a freaking crazy exciting, like I go and head to the big studios and stand up to corporate when in fact I'm not interested. And here's the thing, and that's the thing you'll understand. I actually hate being on camera. Funnily enough, even though I stream,
a Twitch streamer,
and YouTube and this, but I actually don't. And the reason is I'm not particularly interested in being famous. I want to create good shit. I want to be a producer for sure, but I'm not interested in putting myself out there like that because having been out there, even in such a minimal capacity with like Overwatch League, I'm like, oh, hell no. The anxiety was incomprehensible to me. And I think it's because even with that little teeny tiny bit of fame, people expect things of you that are woefully out of touch.
Right.
And add on to the fact, I'm a Black queer person in an industry that's predominantly white. All you could do is go, Happy Black History Month. I exist.
Yeah.
So do many of us. But then what ends up happening is I just felt like I never want to be famous. I just want to do good work. I just want to hopefully help people who need it.
Yeah.
And hopefully go through a day on this insane planet without wanting to get high.
Yeah.
And producing is what does it for me. Making shit happen is the coolest stuff. I was proud I was able to install this wig this morning. That's how happy I was. I am a tomboy, Sam.
Yeah.
I don't know how to fucking do hair. But I was able to put this wig on. See, you couldn't tell.
It looks great. I couldn't. I thought you dyed it or
streamed it or something.
Yeah.
No, this is not
awesome.
my hair. My hair is actually short because I like shorter hair when I work out because I don't like this.
Totally. Wear a ponytail or something, yeah.
Right. I don't like doing that shit. But I like wearing wigs when I go out because it protects my hair. Black
cool.
thing. But that's the thing that makes me happy. When you create something and you don't need to be on TV, you don't need to do anything other than bring up the people who created this. Because like I said, I'm learning Unity. I'm learning all these engines. I'm doing VFX and I actually didn't tell you this. I'm actually learning visual effects because that's ultimately what I want to do along producing because that's a good homage to my mom and my dad. Because my mom wanted to work in movies before she got pregnant with me. And my dad, who passed away, worked in computers. How do you combine the two?
VFX. CGI? See your name in the next Marvel movie credits? That'd be sick.
Yeah, I don't have to go on TV. I can be a fucking hermit and just watch my Netflix. It's perfect.
I like it. That is... that's awesome. That's so cool that one thing I want to bring up again was like, you mentioned this way earlier in the episode, but
prophetic.
It goes back to the concept of learning and learning as many skills as you can, even if it doesn't relate to your job now or your interests now. Like cybersecurity is actually something that I was looking into, and I'm not a technical person at all. Like, I'd love to just learn because you never know where it might bring you. Like, you got your producer job because of all these soft skills that you picked up along the way in administration and just being willing to learn and
being a person and not acting like a fucking idiot on Twitter half the time.
Yeah.
I love when people complain that they're not getting any work, and then you look at their Twitter. I'm like,
Gosh.
you just said you would fuck Reaper from behind. I'm sorry, this is a family show, but it's true. They'd be like, and the thing is, I'm not against these tweets. I'm not. I am living for them. My Discord, wow, you see my Discord, they're hilarious.
Yeah.
They're so much funnier than I am.
Yeah.
I'm like, I nurture that. I'm like, please be funnier than me. That saves me time and effort. But unfortunately, we still live in a day and age where you have to maintain a level of professionalism. The problem is I'm incapable of doing that. And that's why I don't tell nobody my Twitter. When I'm looking for jobs, lock.
Yeah. It's like this completely unrelated person. I think everyone deserves to like have fun on the internet, but also like, unfortunately, internet professionalism, it starts to melt together.
It's at your own risk. I know it's my big age and I'm acting old. Like, don't put your shit on digital footprint. But I was around when the cusp of like the real world and the internet were colliding. Like, I know what it was like before time. So I know the impact that this could have. Like, I already saw how dangerous it was. And even though it's ubiquitous now, even though it's like a part of our daily life now, it's still dangerous. So even more so now. Like, it's so easy to backtrack anything and reverse search anything. Yeah. And the thing is, I know I've done dumb shit, but it's not really mostly anything that I'm ashamed of. If I've made mistakes, I made mistakes when I was dealing with Overwatch stuff, for real, and I apologize. Problem is that in communities like that, they tend to give you so much shit for it. And it was incomprehensible to me because I forgive people. People make mistakes, even when people do the worst shit. Because forgiveness isn't about the other people. It's about letting go of the hate inside your heart. And we'll get to that. But
it's coming up.
Yeah.
It's coming up. I feel you hankering to share about it because
so much.
Well, why don't we get into that? But before we do, is there maybe like one memorable anecdote from your time working at Waking Oni?
Oh, I have plenty of those.
I'll limit you to one. I'll limit you to one.
Yeah. Like there was one where we were playing No Man's Sky together last year and I was so lost and kept crashing my ship. That shit was hilarious. It was a bonding moment for us. But I think honestly, oh God, and this is going to sound weird, but it's true. Derek had actually arranged for us to go to Chicago to meet each other. Like, he paid for like tickets and hotels and everything. Like, he took care of it. And remember, small indie company. I know people in the Overwatch community joke about that, but all I do is sit there and be like, y'all don't even know what a small indie company deals with.
You see the numbers.
You see, and I'm just sitting here like grateful that he did this for us. And so the best memory was, this was about a month after my dad died, and about I would say 2 months after me finally breaking away from Overwatch. So I had a lot of sadness in my heart. I had a lot of anger in my heart that persisted up until recent. Like, another thing, guys, gamers, let yourself grieve. Okay? Don't try to jump back into shit. It doesn't work. Trust me. But the best memory was just hanging out with them, just getting out of the city. Just finally, I feel like even though I wouldn't know it until another year later, that this was the community, this is the ride or die group. Even if I didn't work for them again, even that, I would still ride or die for them. Because I went to a city I'd never seen before. They drove me around like nothing. They knew that, I'm not under NDA, so anyway, they knew that because Blizzard didn't pay me, we'll get to that. They didn't pay me on time, that I was broke. I didn't have any money. I had to ask my friends for money to get a taxi to the airport.
Yeah.
But they knew all this and they helped me. There was no question. And I feel like generally in gaming, we feel like we have to be ashamed to ask for help or be ashamed that we're poor or broke. Or when it's played off as a joke, when you're like, oh, I can't sub because, I'm a broke college student, but I swear to God, I'm going to get this cocaine and stuff like that, So even though it was a dark time at that point, they were there for me. They understood what I was going through. They knew the sadness that I was I was huddled, I had just cut my hair. Like it was a freaking, I was doing the whole Ramona Flowers thing, like cutting my hair, dyeing it, changing into different clothes. And and I would put pictures up on Twitter and Instagram because again, I didn't want people to fully have to deal with what I dealt with. And this was also after, I'll give a trigger warning just in case you want to edit it out.
Yeah.
This was also like a couple months after I attempted suicide. So after that, obviously, that's when I felt the most betrayal from the community, because at first they were worried. But then when the pain kept going, because people kept spreading rumors, people kept saying things that they knew nothing about, people were getting, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, sick of it,
Yeah.
or wanted to move on because they had their own problems. It was hard for me to deal.
Yeah.
And hard for anyone to deal.
No,
really. Like, I'm not,
yeah,
you know?
it's a lot.
And they were there. Right. They were there for me. They accepted me. They spoke to me. They treated me like a human being. They didn't coddle me. They weren't, I think the most important thing, they weren't scared of me.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't treat me like I was a bomb ready to explode. They just made sure I had a good time and made sure I got home safe.
That's amazing. It's like,
yeah.
Well, it sounds like there's just
like
amazing
a
people.
Party.
No. It just sounds like they're amazing people, and you're at your lowest, like in not just emotionally, but like financially and
everything.
Like
everything
even physically.
That could go wrong did. I was a walking motherfucking Murphy's Law for a year and a half.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Mm-hmm.
But I survived it. So that's why I'm like, all right, I'm going to be grateful for those who were there.
That's
so
awesome.
I'm going to give them all the shout outs because they were 100% there.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm sure they appreciate it.
You showed back up. That helped.
I like hanging out with cool people. What can I say?
I'm cool. Dude, I'm a fucking boomer, bro, but I'm not buying it.
It's okay. I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
That's cool.
Well, so it sounds like your team at Waking Oni is amazing. Not just to work with, but to be around and just exist around. Like that's great.
All good people.
I want to dive a little bit into content creation because as we mentioned the entire time, you did some work for Overwatch and Overwatch League. You also are still a Twitch streamer.
Why?
And content creator.
Why antisocial?
Well, it's like everybody needs a hobby, I guess.
That's right. Yeah. Honestly fair. Honestly fair.
Before we dive into that avenue, can you maybe share about what kind of content you produce online and how did you even get into that?
Well, I kind of originally started technically streaming around the time Undertale came out in 2015.
Okay.
I knew it was a thing, but again, I was brought up because here's the thing. Even though my family was dead ass into video games, computer games, everything.
Mm-hmm.
We were one of the few people in our neighborhood who had a computer, especially in the Black community. Like you already know, in the Black community, it was very hard for us to get computers, access to any computers unless we went to school. In our house, thanks to my father, thanks to my mom, you were able to have one. So it was a natural, very gratefully so, it was a natural one for me to get into streaming because I was always around computers and video games. Ironically, I didn't play PC games until around 2007 when Left 4 Dead came out.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't actually, I lied. Not just Left 4 Dead, Team Fortress 2.
Mm-hmm.
And my boyfriend at the time actually built me a computer to play it. I didn't need anything fancy. It was just big old fucking brick that was probably the same size as me.
Yeah. Were they still like a weird pale white? Eggshell white? Yeah.
100%. But it worked. And I was up all night playing video games. I could check my Steam right now. I maybe have over almost 3,000 hours on Left 4 Dead 2.
Oh, heck
because I love that game. Probably around the same like for Team Fortress 2. So I always played FPSs. I was very good at it.
Mm.
I was very good. I feel like if esports started and were more accepting 10 years ago, I probably would have had a shot.
Yeah.
But then I got old, so no.
Esports.
But when I streamed Undertale, I streamed it drunk because who cares? Because my friend was like, you gotta play Undertale. I was like, fine, whatever. Like it wasn't Mario or Street Fighter, so I didn't give a shit. So I played it though, and Undertale was probably my first indie game that I played.
Oh.
Which was funny considering, 10 years later, I'd worked for an indie gaming company.
Yeah.
So when I played it, I think my first stream had about 100, 200 people watching it.
Oh, wow.
Because the game was hot. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And it turned into this sub-series called Underbreaks.
Okay.
And if you go on Tumblr and search for Underbreaks, you will see a cute, amazing little community that apparently still there about me bullshitting in Undertale.
What the heck? You have a cult following?
I didn't know it. I did at the time. This was maybe 2015, 2016, right before I moved to LA. I didn't know that it still exists because I had a stream up earlier in January, like 2 weeks after New Year's. And one of my friends chatted, wait, you played Undertale? I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah, I did. She went, are you Briggs as an under Briggs?
Whoa.
I was like, no fucking way. And she told me about, and this is somebody who's like 21, 22. This means like actual teenagers and children were vibing with Underbriggs. And I'm just a drunk idiot trying to play the passive run. I had to turn off the game because I accidentally ordered fries when I wanted a burger. I was so schmizzied. I was so drunk. But it was such a fun time. I had a shitty fucking mic. I had no camera. All you heard was me screaming into this broken ass mic about fucking, what's their name? Frisk.
Yeah.
And everything. It was so funny.
That's crazy.
So that's how it started. But I didn't consider it a career because to me, I didn't grow up in a household. I grew up in a traditional American household. Video games were not a career.
Yeah.
It's just not it. You have to be a lawyer, doctor, whatever, which is fine. But the problem is I like to write.
Okay.
So unfortunately, that was the start of me compromising on like, maybe I'll major in this and then minor in that. Didn't work. I got sick, had to drop out of college, moved to LA. And I moved to LA with a laptop and 10 cents. A friend of mine to this day took me in so I could stay there until I got my foot together. My life together. And Overwatch came out.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
I didn't have any money to buy Overwatch. I was still playing Team Fortress 2. So, of course, I got the FOMO. So my friends, I'll just fucking read a book, I guess. And then my friend Antonio bought it for me 2 weeks after it was released. I was once again staying up all night playing it, being an idiot. About a year and I think it was a year and a half, maybe a year later, Overwatch League started.
Yeah, around then.
And I got a car at that time because I couldn't afford a car because I just got to California. So I was busting it most of the time. Never do that. It's miserable.
Yeah.
So I got a car. And around the time I purchased my first car, there was an advertisement on the Overwatch website regarding games at Blizzard Arena.
Oh, yeah.
In my head, I was like, well, I used to go to comedy clubs in New York because I used to work in one. So I would go to comedy shows. So if it's a decent audience, maybe I'll go and I'll just roast the hosts and make fun of the white people there. That was my philosophy. I wanted to go to Overwatch League to make fun of white people. I am not even kidding. That's literally was my objective. So my friend at the time and I were like, do you want to go? The tickets are $20. You're like, all right, fuck it. So we went to the first game. If I recall correctly, it was Valiant versus Houston.
Something like that.
I coincidentally had like green attire in my car. Like I had the yellow earrings and I had like a green ribbon. So I put that in my hair because I think I had braids at the time. And I think Malik at the time was hosting it.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I had no clue it was being broadcasted.
Oh.
I had no idea. I was just in the audience shooting the shit. All of a sudden I see myself behind Malik just making faces. Just fucking around. Because what the fuck do I care?
You're out for fun. It's a fun event.
I don't give a shit. Like, worst case, they kick me out and be like, all right, fuck you. I won't play a game. I'll go back to fucking Valorant or whatever the fuck. Or, even though that came out 2 years later.
TF2.
Yeah, TF2. But no, it turned out to be fun. And then after a while, I just kept playing it. And then I started streaming it. And then people were like, you're the Valiant girl. And I'm like, shit.
Oh, no.
And the thing is, I didn't mind it. I thought it was amazing that people found my stupid ass somewhat inspiring because all I was doing, and I know this is going to sound incredibly cliche, but I was just being myself. I would do the same thing if I went to like an Eagles game or a Phillies game. Like I went to sporting events since I was a child.
Mm.
I played sports. I was playing rugby before I moved here. So I knew how important the fans were to certain things, and I didn't think playing video games was going to be that much of a difference. The only thing is, like, you're going to have a flat butt for sitting there for like 8 years.
Yeah.
Like, but in terms of content creation, it still wasn't a thing I was interested in because I didn't want to have a life with Blizzard or with any of that because I had my own goals.
Mm-hmm.
I had my own aspirations. At that time, I wanted to get my CPA or become a CPA or write for a living. And I got into journalism.
Yeah. Like gaming wasn't even taking up a part of your brain.
Hobby.
Yeah. It was something you did for fun. It was never something that you could 100%,
because I knew if I made it a job, I was going to fucking hate it.
That's wise. That's wise.
I'm like, I am not going to make something that I love into a career because I'm going to hate it and I'm going to be miserable. I don't like that. So that was kind of a weird worry I had with like Overwatch League. I'm like, I see all these people enjoying themselves, but the second it goes downhill, it's going to be bacchanal. It's going to be nuts. We all saw how that ended. So, long story short, in terms of content creation, it really wasn't something that I just jumped into and jumped on the bandwagon. I was always a late bloomer. I do things later. But then I found myself, being known in like, streams like custom streams or like, the thing is, I think I did like cusses or XQCs and a couple others. But again, with my big age, I never felt comfortable because I was always older.
Yeah.
So I would be friends with them.
But you were like a generation or half a generation older. So
even
it's like playing with the elementary kids.
Even though I was only a few years older at the time.
Yeah.
Right. So even though I was a few years older than a few of them at the time, I just, it wasn't my bag.
It's kind of like, I see what you mean. It's kind of jarring because you are not trying to present a certain way. You have your own beliefs and people keep trying to push this narrative. And it's weird.
Don't mind if they do. I need to reiterate this. I don't give a shit what you do with your life.
Yeah.
As long as you're not hurting nobody, I do not care. I got my own problems. I'm not going to be focused on you. My whole issue with this is that no one came to me in regards to what had gone down until 3 years later.
Wow.
And by then it was too late. But I will ask, because I'm obviously assuming, what did you hear?
I have heard your name. So like back then, right?
Right.
Personally, I'll
let you ask and I'll confirm or deny.
Sure.
I have no axe to grind.
I don't know. I feel like what I heard back then was like you were this up and coming Overwatch creator and you knew that some of the players, but I never assumed you were trying to get with the players or grouping them. I just felt like you were on the grind and pushing forward. And people step back and change around. Maybe it's because I'm also a boomer. So I'm
no. It basically was a high school thing.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be upset if it wasn't so traumatizing to me because I don't like people. And the thing is, I know even at my big age now, because like when everything started, I was barely out of my 30s. I was like 31. So it wasn't that old either.
And it's a new thing for someone like your age or even my age. I'm turning 30 this year. Like this kind of internet drama didn't exist when we were like teenagers. Like,
so I'm like, I didn't know. I didn't know how to deal.
Yeah.
So totally. I drank. I basically acted like nothing happened, even though I felt the community slowly like looking at me differently. And then I wrote an article in 2020 confronting that. And when it came to content creation, I just wanted to be able to put my truth out there. Whatever everybody else thought, that's on you.
Yeah.
So that when I put the article out explaining what happened to me, which was basically the article stating how people thought I was this crazy stalker person.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's worse. The other rumor that was spread was that a restraining order was put on me.
Oh my gosh. Like, yeah, it's insane.
First of all, coming from a household that was sometimes violent and having seen that shit in action, why would you spread that rumor? And I thought I was crazy, but then I spoke to people and they were like, yeah, we heard this. And people wondered why I was sad all the time. People wondered why I was upset all the time. There was even one point where somebody said that somebody had designed a graphic for me. And they said that they had ripped off their design. First of all, I didn't know. I'm not on Twitter. You could have just came to me as a person instead of bitching on Twitter. It's just all of this weird-ass drama that two grown adults with fully functional and formed frontal lobes could have just talked about. And I felt like a major issue with Overwatch League is nobody wanted to fucking talk about it and then blame it on social anxiety or blame it on the fact that they're scared of me, which I'm not even going to get into the racist implications of that. But when it came to content creation, I just didn't like it anymore. Because if I was going to attract people who were fake, who refused to treat me like a human being, who saw me as, you know, a stalker or a loud person, somebody who caused trouble, I'm not the type of person to stay at a party I'm not invited to. But I still tried because I didn't want to cause drama. I didn't want to end up in a fucking twit longer. And then I got friends telling me that people who I used to go to games with were talking about how I was toxic and how I was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
They were half right.
Yeah.
But I wasn't toxic. Like, I was only upset, but nobody knew how to deal with it.
It's
Did I want to?
Yeah. No, it's such a, and I learned this in pretty recently, I feel like in the last year or two, like there's always two sides to the story. Like you can't take someone's twit longer just because they were first and take it at face value. There's always a second side to the story. And to blow it up online, it's unfair to yourself as a person who is concerned, and it's unfair to all the parties involved. Half the time, it doesn't even involve you. Like all these e-dater dramas, like crazy.
Which is the stupidest shit. Like I feel like the only ones that really affected me were the ones that were pedophilic and sexual assault nature. Because again, I'm a victim of that. So those were the ones where I was like, I need to like. I don't understand. This is what's very hilarious about the Overwatch community is that we can go through these fucking horrendous acts and still act like nothing happened. We'll make fun of it. We'll like, instead of like I'm getting old. I'm like sitting here like, these kids are fucking wildin'. Like they really are. And then that's when I realized a couple of years ago, I'm like, this is some high school shit.
Oh, totally. 100%.
And if I wanted to go back to high school, I'd build my black ass a time machine and go back there. But I don't want to deal with this. So I just slowly stepped away, focused on myself. But then, of course, I had friends who were still involved in the community tell me things. I'm like, I don't want to hear it. I don't care. And then I would ultimately say, you know what? I have spent a solid 5 years as a content creator caring what other people thought of me because you had to play by those rules. You had to be positive all the time. You had to play the same game, 12 hours on each and every day to keep your audience. You had to be unique in your content every day. And at that point, I'm like, I'm 35 years old, man. I want to produce stuff. I want to do, and especially after getting hired by Waking Oni, my priorities shifted. But I know your original question was as a content creator. It's hard for me to call myself that because that's not my end goal. I'm not trying to be a messiah. I'm not trying to be an influencer or anything like that because I'm a dumbass Trini American who just wants to make a living. I only need 2 things in my life, sex and food. I don't need much. You know, I don't need the adoration of the masses. I don't. I've had it.
Yeah.
Very fickle. It's just, I just want to put out games I enjoy playing because when you enjoy playing something, when you enjoy doing something, it's contagious.
Well,
when I was in Overwatch League, as many opportunities as it gave me, I was happy and people were excited because they saw me happy because I was genuine. That happiness. There's no secret. When you're genuinely happy about something and you give out that aura, you will absorb that and you will see and want that happiness. But as things got worse for Overwatch League, people got competitive and people got nasty. That's when I just shut down. But I also didn't want to add to the drama. So I just kept it to myself. I was taught to stay quiet, let things balance out. It caused a lot of trauma because I had to sit here and stew with people with all these rumors about me. I got messages from people like, oh, did you stalk these people? Do all this? And I'm like,
yeah.
When I put out the article stating this about how Black women were mistreated and how I was seen as a fucking crazy person, I even had Overwatch League employees tell me, oh, you're just bandwagoning off the California lawsuit. I actually knew people who were affected by,
discrimination
at Blizzard. Why are you bandwagoning? I'm like,
it's like such an assumption, such a reach.
So much cocaine in their systems, I swear.
Yeah.
I need to know what they're taking to even remotely feel as if that was necessary to tell me.
Yeah. Right? Like employees, professional people.
I'm sorry I chose not to work in a company that I wasn't interested in. And it had nothing to do. I didn't know what the hell was going on over there. I had a feeling just by, being that person.
Yeah.
But I don't go there. All I said was that I was not shocked when that came out because of the way I was treated.
Yeah.
So again, I was shocked when they invited me to do the Sojourn Twitch stream when she came out 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I was shocked, but they invited me and I was excited. And I think one of your questions was, what was the big moment in content creation for you? That was probably it. Even though, like all the other stuff I did, it was mired in controversy because you could not stop these fools from typing nigga all over the damn Twitch chat. Those mods were working damn overtime.
Yeah. That always irked me as well. Like, why waste your time doing that? Enjoy the content. If you're not, leave. Like,
you're racist.
Yeah.
And I think that's something this community has not reconciled with, especially in the year 2024 and yet another Black History Month, but no one gives a shit. If you want to get rid of Black History Month so dang bad, treat us equally. Really not that hard, but it is, because then that would break down the whole system. I mean, as a person of color yourself, you probably do. So answering that content creator question is so hard for me because that was not my initial intent. My initial intent was to have fun. You're not allowed to do that.
You wanted to have fun, but the systems that be and the people that be, like, made it impossible to do that.
And like I said, I'm not innocent. I didn't do anything stupid. Like, of course, like I'm not that dumb.
Yeah.
But I misinterpreted stuff. Miscommunication is common. I'm not going to give anybody shit for miscommunication. I never have.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to sit here and say that I am this fucking monster that people make me out to be. And I think in types of content creation, I just want to create good shit. So what you can cut all of this out. I'm just venting at this point. But
it's all good.
To answer I know, but to answer your initial question, what I primarily create is just, sit there, play video games. I play games with my friends. I enjoy myself. And hopefully you guys enjoy it. Right now, it's mostly just playing Yakuza games because Kazuma Q is my boyfriend. I'm playing a lot of new Tekken games. I'm testing out Tekken. I'm trying a lot of games that I used to grow up playing. I knew I was on the right track when I got a call from my brother from his birthday last week, and he talked about how he's playing the first 3 Yakuza games.
Awesome.
And I just finished Like a Dragon.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'm on the right track. Perfect. But I know people are going to know me for Overwatch League. I know people are going to know me for Overwatch, and I know people are going to know me for being associated with people in Overwatch. The problem is I could not care less, because if there's one thing I did learn, especially after the fall of Overwatch and whatever's going on now, OWCS, I don't fuck. Is that I want people to enjoy themselves. If they want to do Overwatch League stuff, they want to do OWCS, fine. If they want to enjoy it, fine. If they want to enjoy Overwatch 2 in its entirety, fine. In terms of my personal content creation, I never wanted to be a full game because I did that during COVID. That's because all of my friends were playing. But it wore me out. And the more stuff I heard about Blizzard, the more that it was very hard, like in terms of creating, to reconcile playing that damn game while seeing all these people get laid off. It's hard playing this damn game while learning that someone killed themselves because of how they were treated at Blizzard. It's hard for me to reconcile with this game when I'm seeing the cognitive dissonance that people have to come up with in order to justify supporting these actions. Like I've encompassed with, and the thing is, I'm a little more forgiving with people who had to work for them. At the time I wasn't, because I'm like, how could you work? How could you do, you're next, right? But I've forgiven them because now I understand what they were going through, because they had to make a choice whether to pay their bills or to not.
Isn't that like the worst decision? Like, you have to do this job that maybe isn't the best for you or the world
or anyone else,
but you also have to survive, right?
Exactly. To me, I can't even blame the people entirely. I can't. I used to, because I'm like, well, your guys are grown. You should know better. But then I think that was the biggest mistake I made. I wasn't as empathetic as I should have been. Now, I'm not empathetic for people to treat me like shit. They could go jump off a cliff. But I empathize with people who felt stuck between a rock and a hard place. And for those who I did not provide that empathy to, I sincerely apologize from the bottom of my heart. That being said, I really hope you understand your worth and that you do not need to spend this very short life chasing after dreams that are constantly taken away from you. Feeling as if you have to backstab your friends in order to get ahead. You don't need to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to live with that. And I think that's one of the reasons Overwatch League died, because everyone is just trying to vie for like the 10 people who are watching this fucking esport.
Yeah.
And I know quality over quantity, but
it's
right now it's a mess.
No. It's
I answer your question.
Firstly, I'd like to thank you for sharing all that and being super open and honest. And because
I just don't want people coming at me like, why are you talking about him? Why are you doing? I'm like, I don't give a fuck.
Well, it's also like part of Grow Up Level Up is we want to talk about how games influenced our lives, and this is how it influenced your life. Maybe not for the best, but this is part of your like who you are, and you learned from it.
I know, but I don't want to start shit, Sam. I just know how people are. Like, I'll talk about my story to be like, well, she lying, she's stalking people. I
got these random receipts that may or may not be real. Like, yeah.
I'm like, I don't show receipts. Like, if you can either believe me or not. The only reason why you should is because I have no reason to lie.
Mm.
I'm not. I don't. Why would I lie? I'm not. I mean, Overwatch League is already dead.
Yeah.
Like, the game is. We'll get to that. The game is. But I'm going to finally answer your original question.
Sure. Let's do it.
I apologize for going off, but basically, I'm gonna be real. I shit post. I just play whatever I want. I do whatever I want. I'm 37 years old. You know, I've gone through hell over the past 6 years, mentally, physically, emotionally. I'm at the point now where life is too fucking short. Like, I'll tell my story, and I hope to God people don't take it as me, like, I guess, holding a grudge or feeling angry, or which I'm not. I really am not. I'm over that hump. It took therapy, a lot of therapy. But I got over that hump. But I want people to understand that as much as I feel some pain from what Overwatch League did to me and for what I got involved with, a lot of it was good.
Yeah.
I would not have been a journalist if it wasn't for Overwatch League. I would not have gotten into cosplay if it wasn't. I wouldn't have, frankly, been the person I am today without it. I think I said it before, I think the adage is, don't cry over the bad times, smile for the good ones. Something like that. And I'm smiling. There were great times. I'm not the type of person where something bad happens, if I block you or anything, it's mainly because it's the same way I used to do it as a kid, where I just block your number. Or I just don't talk to you anymore. It's a lot more difficult because when you're online, your shit's everywhere. So it's just easier for me to block or mute people. It has nothing personal, and I've learned not to take it personally when people do that to me. I just feel as if, people grow apart. Shit happens. The world is in a very unstable state right now, and it causes people to do silly things. Me, I tend to stay calm when this shit happens because, when you dealt with trauma, you tend to be calm when crazy stuff happens. So, like, did I celebrate when Overwatch League died? Not really. I was just like, I knew this was going to happen. This is what happens when you don't invest in your product properly. This is what happens when you invest too much in a product that you don't know how it's going to end. It's like standard business and people. It happens all the time. So I can't be upset. But I also, like I said, I just feel for the people.
Yeah.
I feel for all the people who got laid off. But yeah, and that's why when I go online, I just don't think about any of that stuff. I just think about, what game do I feel like playing? Yakuza, done. And whether I put on a wig or not, that's it. I wish I had more elaborate TikTok, funny memes of the day.
Here's how you optimize your thumbnail, kind of.
I learned my memes from you guys. I don't know anything. You guys are the only things keeping me young at this point. And I'm very grateful for that because I am very much becoming the uncool auntie. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I will stop rambling that. God damn, that's fucking minutes. Sombra sleeping.
She's chilling. It's comfy on the carpet.
She's like, Mom, it's dinner. Jesus Christ.
It is all good. I really appreciate you sharing all your wisdom on content creation. It is different for everyone, and especially like someone who has been through the gutter, someone who has done it all. It sounds like this is your wisdom to give to the world, and it is important that you share that.
Yeah, but feel free to cut out like the freaking.
Well, we'll talk after the show, but sure.
Yeah, but
thank you for sharing. Though. Genuinely from my heart, I think a lot of what you shared is really important to people listening.
Be yourself, guys.
Important.
There is. Be yourself. Important. It works in the long run. Trust me. And even if you're boring as hell,
be yourself.
It's fine.
And don't be mean on the internet.
Yeah, don't be yourself unless you suck. Don't be yourself.
There you go.
And try to be better.
There you go. I guess we'll jump a little bit ahead here. Is that all right?
Sorry. I'm so sorry. Had such amazing questions.
It's all good. It's all good.
Completely validated that.
Is there any one that you want to jump back to, or one that sticks out?
Oh, you lead on.
Right,
I've already taken over as much as I could. I don't want to do anymore. I feel terrible.
Well, I guess going back to games, you shared a lot about a lot of the community around games, and you dropped a lot of names on here, so you are a seasoned gamer. What do you look for in a good game? What draws you to a good game, or draws you to a game that makes it good?
This question I actually thought about, and it's very simple. I can actually keep this a simple answer. I treat it the same way I treat a book. You don't have me hooked within the first 5 minutes, I'm dropping a book.
Okay.
It's just that simple. I don't know if it's just my ADHD or it's just my own personal preference. I can't tell. Obviously, your mileage may vary, but I need to be hooked within the first 5 minutes. It does not even matter what genre. As you probably see it on my streams, I play all kinds of games. So, and I think thinking about it now, I think it also helps that a lot of the games I play are visual novels because, again, with those, if you don't hook me within 5 seconds, I'm not going to give a shit.
Really?
So for me personally, I just want, if a game has a great story, because as a writer, strong writing is very important, even more so than casting or sound or anything. You appreciate all the other things like sound design and everything. But if you have a good story, you got me. And fortunately, a lot of the games I've played have that. And that makes me picky. And people will ask, well, why do you play Overwatch? Why did you play Valorant? Because they had good stories. They still do. You can have an FPS that still have a good story. You gotta wonder why they're shooting people. You can have games where they don't have a reason for shooting people. It's called America. But you can have games in different genres have good stories because you can develop the characters as if you can relate to them. And I think that's the most important thing. And I think that's also why I fought so much for Overwatch, because I think with any other game I wouldn't care, because the message for Overwatch was to have diversity. If your literal main message to have a diverse array of characters and it took you 6 years to put a black woman on, I'm gonna fucking start screaming. So when you have stories of all these amazing people from all over the world, like in Overwatch, or you have a story about a post-apocalyptic future where 16 high school kids are trapped in a building and they have to kill each other before one survives, things like that. Or you have a story about a old as fucky former Yakuza member beating the shit out of half of Japan. You got me hooked. You know, it's just a matter of the games. And then you have other indie games like Spiritfarer, which is a fantastic game about death, which again, having gone through it myself, was a good primer. And then you have other little mobile games. On my mobile games, I'm playing Cat Game and Royal Match and all of that just to pass the time. You mentioned Marvel Snap, games like that. I think every single game people create will have a purpose for somebody. You have to create things. You have two options for games with me if you want to keep my attention. You either have a game that'll help me pass the time, or you give me a game that I will remember 30 years from now. I think that balance in the gaming industry is what's going to have it thrive. The same way in the real world, everything has its purpose. Everything has its place. And if you focus on that goal and you show the people how passionate you are about that goal, they're going to want your game. That's what I want to see. I want to see strong writing. I want to see strong passion. I want to see you put your foot in that game and bring it to life. Because then you got me.
Yeah. It's have a vision. Like, you're not just making a game for the sake of making a dopamine generator, more money. Yeah.
Or money.
Like make art, it sounds like.
Yes. Make art. Create something. I think Pirate Software said something similar to this.
Okay.
He was even saying, he was like, don't just just make a game. The worst case scenario is going to be a shitty game, but you made a game.
I know. It's amazing. Blows my mind.
I really don't understand why people are not understanding how long it takes to make a game.
Yeah.
Like, how much experience you need. Like, but at the same token, it's like, we don't even have a lot of workshops or programs or anything in place to cultivate the next generation of developers.
Especially when everyone's getting fired all the time. Like, how are you supposed to pass on that knowledge?
Bro, I didn't know how to react to that because a lot of my friends were laid off. And having been, working for this company, it's like, because we're on hiatus, like, it's not like I'm doing anything other than learning at this point too. So I understood where they were coming from. But it's like, where's the hope in gaming after this? Like, how am I going to find another good game? Like I found with Undertale or Danganronpa or Overwatch, Celeste, games that, Like, how are we going to get games like that? So those are the games that attract me, but I'm terrified that it won't happen again anytime soon. And that's not going to bode well for the future, because then Gen Zers are going to be like playing fucking Candy Crush and expect that to be the same thing as Death Stranding.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I think, how do you cultivate that? How do you set up the dominoes, set up the stones so we get another Celeste?
It's easy.
Yeah.
It's very easy. It's just people don't want to do it. I read an article the other day. I think Nicole Carpenter wrote this from Polygon. I read it the other day about how, it was just an article I read a couple weeks back. And she was talking about how there is little funding for people of color or even women who are the heads of their own studios. And the reason is very simple. And I personally do not care if I piss anybody off by saying this, but I'm saying this as a producer and as a gamer, that one of the benefits of being the best of both worlds. You have to invest in people who care about their product and are just not there for the lulz.
Is it?
And the horrible truth is that a solid 90% of employees in the gaming industry are men. And around the same amount of them are white. What's even worse is that a vast majority of people who have 20 plus years in the industry are white. You know how many of the rest of are? Like Black, Asian, single digits.
That's wild. Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah.
why are they investing in companies that seem to put out the same shit? You know what I mean? Like, you seem to, be just going through the motions instead of trying to find innovative stuff. It's very easy. And as she explained in the article, it's something I've also touched on in the past too. It's like, because they can't relate to a Black person. More to the point, they refuse to try. Now, no one is telling you to put on blackface or put on yellowface, forgive me, to relate to us. There's no one asking you to do that. What we want to do is tell stories that will enhance your mindset. And it's not just because of our race. It's because of the diversity. And it's been proven time and time again that something as simple as learning a second language broadens your horizon. Something as simple as that. So why would you not invest in companies that have a different perspective from you? Why don't you invest in newbies, people who want to learn how games work, so they can take your teachings and bring something new to the table?
Yeah.
It's very easy to do. Just give people who have different ideas than you money. Open your wallet and your mind. Because if you're only going to invest in people you solely relate to, you're never going to grow. You're just going to keep losing money. People will get bored of you. And you will act shocked when your company shuts down in 10 years. And then we're going to have this gap in time where nothing new is here. That's why we got 8 million remakes and sequels coming out. Because that's all they know. You're not bringing anybody fresh. So you have to invest in new people. You have to invest in people like us. You have to invest in people who can bring a fresh take. And if they don't know anything technical, fucking teach them.
Totally. Agree.
Give them the resources. They need to learn this. I guarantee you 99% of the people who want to get into game development simply just don't know what the hell to do. They don't have the tools. They don't know where to go. Everybody, when they ask, are like, oh, you don't need my support. I don't know. I just looked it up. Why don't you? Fucking tell them where to go. Tell them where to find the software. Tell them where to practice. Tell them who to speak to. Get a mentor. I had a mentor, thankfully, but I was going through shit. But I took those lessons she taught me. And now I know what I'm doing. So even if I do get laid off, I will say, fuck it. And I've always been independent. You know me. I'll be like, you know what? If I get hired and I get laid off, fuck it. I'll make my own motherfucking game. Might be shitty, but at least I did it. And the thing is, that's important. If you make your own shit, you can put that on your resume.
It's true. Use it for the future.
Exactly. So I'll say this. There are two things you can do with this. Because I know you mentioned, it's a good question you asked, like, how do they fund us? If they can't fund it, do it yourself.
Hold on. Say that one more time closer to your mic.
Sorry. If you can't get funding from other people, do it yourself. There's no rush. You're not in a hurry. You can take, what is it called? I don't know if you've seen it. Have you seen the TF2 fan movie, Amethyst Blue?
No, I haven't. That does sound familiar, though. I feel like I've heard of it.
Look it up. It took the man 5 years to create that shit in the engine. He would come home from work on it. So I think he's put out the trailer, I think, like in 2018, I think, or 2019. It just came out last year. Spent 5 years on that shit. Probably one of the best things I've ever seen in my life. Graphically, vocally, like the VOs are perfect. The writing's astounding. The story makes no fucking sense, but it's good. It's very well done. The effect, that's what made me say, I'm going to be a VFX artist. I want to do that.
That's awesome. That
shit he made, I want to make that. And that's why you just need to figure out the decision game developers need to make at this point, especially with all the layoffs, and especially with the way the gaming industry has become so vicious and very vile towards, non-white people of color. Do it yourself.
Listen.
You don't have to be anybody else to fit in. Like we code ourselves all the time.
Yeah.
You get enough of that in real life. Make your own game. Hell, if you can't make your own game, write your own script. Test it out with your friends. If your friends don't support you, get some new fucking friends. There's 7 billion of us in the world. I think another thing that in this industry that people don't do is they don't have the support system that they deserve. I think a lot of people are miserable because they have to compete against each other all the time. And that's annoying. Because I know I felt that when I was in the league. I felt when I was doing Overwatch content creation that I felt as if I had to compete with all the other creators. And I'm like, I don't like competing against them. They're all lovely people.
Right. No, I totally echo that. I hear
sorry, I didn't mean to. I feel like I'm keeping you.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I love the wisdom that's coming through. I love what's coming out of like your experience and your mind. Like, sorry to go back. The competing with one another thing. I think that is a really big point. I hear a lot from my game development friends. It's like, oh, I'm not as fast as this person. I'm not as good as this person. Like,
tell your friends. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, like make cool art. Isn't that what you got into it in the first place? Like, do cool stuff.
Not to mention, if you're not fast enough to do it, find somebody else who will collaborate with you. This competition thing pisses me off. Like, I really feel like I lost a lot of friendships because I even felt it in the fandom in Overwatch League. Everybody was competing for the attention of literal teenagers. I'm like,
yeah.
Like, no wonder I drank. I didn't know, like you mentioned earlier, wisely, I just didn't know how to deal with it because this was not something I've experienced before, which is okay. Lesson learned. And like I said, I don't hold ill will against anybody. It's just that I'm just less patient with people who treat each other shitty.
Yeah, life's too short.
Over what?
A video game. Like, it is, if when we frame it like that, it does sound really dumb.
Really dumb.
Yeah.
But people don't want to hear that because, like, my favorite player. Like,
that was good.
I'm like, all right, you need to go outside.
Yeah.
Like, my mom, bless her, knew I needed a balance of video games and getting outside because she knew if I stayed inside, I was going to turn into a fucking serial killer. So she said, you cannot play these video games until you go outside and play for a few hours. And I found over time, especially, I enjoyed being outside more than playing video games. Playing video games was a way for me to unwind after a day at work, and I can go to bed. To this day, what I do is I do my work or do my freelance stuff or whatever. After this, especially, I'm going to get high and play Yakuza.
Oh, yeah. Sounds like a nice plan.
But people don't want to do that. People are like, I got to be a streamer. If I be a streamer, I want to be fucking famous, like XQC.
Like, I'm never going to work again, and make millions.
I'm never going to work again. And I'm like, yeah, you're going to have a flat ass, a bad back, no money, and then you're not going to have any soft skills to bring into your next job. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Content creation is a fun hobby. It's a really hard job.
It's hard. And again, this is not me disrespecting people who make it a job. If you've made this your job and you're successful at it, I'm proud of you. Vaya con Dios. I just am not of the mindset of taking something I love and turning it into my work. It does not work for me. If it works for you, 100%. Awesome. I've just seen it more often than not in this community that it doesn't. Because then you have people who are roasting the game, even though they're
like playing
it.
Yeah.
Like, people were looking at me like I was crazy for not touching the game for a week and a half.
Hey.
And I'm like, I know this sounds like a very foreign concept to you, but I tend to think that if I have to get intoxicated to do something, I might not want to do the thing. So when I found myself, especially when I was dealing with my grief, when I found myself getting drunk in order to play Overwatch, that's when I knew very quickly I should not be playing this game. Because I knew even before people were calling it out in this day and age that it was not going to go well. And it wasn't even because of lack of effort. It's because you fired half your people. Like, that's what happens. When you lose half your staff, you're going to get half the product. It's not anyone's fault but the company's. And being part of game development, I have more empathy than a lot of these people who say, oh, this looks bad. Oh, this, like, I'll roast them and be like, yeah, that hitbox is ridiculous. Or, that character's overpowered. I'll roast them. But there's some vindictive shit that people say about these devs. And I'm like sitting here looking at, did you not read the news 2 weeks ago? Blizzard does this all the time. Every single time something happens, they're like, guess what, new season?
Yeah.
And I'm not even entirely sure if it's on purpose sometimes. Sometimes you're like, oh, great, we got to lay off these people. Got to promote season 9, son of.
Yeah, right? It's like,
I feel sorry. But competition, man, that's what's going to kill this industry. That ass.
Yeah, what happened to just making fun games just for the heck of it? Probably money. Money's the greed.
I think it's money.
Yeah.
Oh, 100. That's why people got fired. There are even companies who admitted that they laid off these people even though they weren't making money.
Yeah. Xbox literally
you saw
did it
Blizzard's
today.
revenue. Yeah, you saw Blizzard's and Microsoft's revenue. Blizzard's revenue last year was so high and they laid off, 2K people?
Yeah.
And they trying to blame Microsoft, and Microsoft was like, oh, we were already going to fire them. I said,
yeah,
bro,
it's tough.
The math ain't mathing.
It's very capitalism, as you say.
It is, which is why I can't. So hard for me to play it on Valentine's. The only reason I played the game on Valentine's is because my friend was playing it. And I didn't want them to play by themselves. And even in those 6 hours, even with a couple of glasses of rosé, I was like, I cannot morally do this. It's not the same.
Yeah, it's the art from the artist kind of thing. Like you can't separate it. It's so ingrained.
Right, exactly. You usually can. I'm like sitting there thinking while I'm playing, like, I wonder what artist was responsible for this particular map, but they're not there anymore. I wonder what face of the game like when Zoe got laid off,
Oh, that was crazy. That hit personally too. Like, come on, it's the face of the game at this point.
literally had a drink in her honor. I was like, and she's being as gracious as she is. She took it like a champ.
Yeah, it's a professional.
But 100%. I'm not. I am not a professional. I am very much in your face because when I try to be professional, nobody want to fucking listen. So I'm like, all right, I'll just be louder. But I get it. You know, I mean, I grew up in Philly, so that's why. Like, I never had any restraint.
Yeah.
In that regard.
Yeah.
So, but just in terms of gaming, I just need people to stop competing against each other and help each other. Like, I've seen a lot of stuff on my timeline where people have been helping each other out and doing meetups and stuff, which is nice. It's very nice to see. So that gives me hope. I'm more of a loner. I tend to be very independent. So I keep to myself in this regard, but I cheer from the side.
Yeah.
I want these people to find good work. I want them to be happy because they made me happy by creating good games.
I love that. That's very beautiful. I feel like I've said that. I feel like you said so many beautiful things tonight so far. So I think
I appreciate that.
you are full of wisdom.
I'm just being honest. I'm not good at lying. I'm terrible at it. I feel like sentimentality is something that's looked down upon in this community, which is fucking weird to me. I'm like, how are you guys tough? Like, I weigh twice as much as you. Like, what the fuck?
You can lift them up with one arm.
Like, you can literally, I'm not even kidding. I gained like 35 pounds of muscle.
Hell yeah. That's awesome.
Because I used to be $130 and then I gained weight because I was like eating because, depth. And then I started training last year and I gained 35 pounds of muscle.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I can body half of these gamers. So the fact that they're trying to act tough and have no feelings, I get it's partially due to trauma and partially just social anxiety. But I'm training. My patience is only going to go.
Yeah.
I'm either going to just not deal with you or I'm going to body slam you. You should.
You are.
Actually, no. Some of them might like that, actually. I'll take it back.
Don't give them what they want.
Hey, they pinky. I'm not even mad. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
That's one thing I'll give to them. They are very, very open when it comes to what they want.
Part of the digital footprint we should all be thinking about, right?
Listen, it may be detrimental to them, but it's amusing to me.
As long as you're having fun, like you said, makes you happy.
Exactly.
We got to close out this episode, Briggsy. I really
bad at this.
No. Like, thank you for coming on.
So many questions
and sharing everything that you have so far. Like, I feel like we could have like a part 2 if you want, going into other stuff.
I was gonna suggest that
because I feel like we have you have so much more to share. But as we close out this episode for today, for this first part, I'll
wear a different wig.
Could you imagine an alter ego shows up next time?
Oh yeah.
So I always ask my guests 2 fun questions. The first one is speaking of money. Grow Up, Level Up, Blows Up. I'm the biggest podcast in the world. And I'd love to fund a project for you that represents your life. And you get to pick whatever type of game it wants to be, whatever story you want to tell, and graphics, sound, everything. What would it be?
I would probably create a game because it's also a screenplay I'm working on too. But it's basically about, it's an allegory on like, middle age and stuff like that. But basically it would be about a person who has the ability to transform into this giant monster. I can even actually show you.
Ooh.
I have a picture of it on my friend Talia designed this.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. Wow.
So it's based on like COVID and stuff. Like, I kind of wanted to make fun of the fact that people thought the vaccine was like a 5G implant.
Yeah.
Well, what it actually did was like mutate some cells and it's that.
Huh.
So the game would probably be sort of them navigating throughout a cure for their condition, but while having the ability to transfer back and forth. Sometimes they have to transfer back into their human form in order to navigate situations, in order to get information. Sometimes they have to transfer the other form in order to further interrogate, to be nice about it, their subjects, as well as be violent when necessary.
Wow.
So the game would basically be first person, so you can see yourself transform, see yourself move, you ally with people who are like you to try to find a cure.
Cool.
And you basically need to go to the ends of the earth in order to either find a cure, to cure your disease, or find a way.
Wow.
If you transform, it eats you up.
Yes.
So it's literal silly. And it's kind of an allegory for like superheroism, whether it's too late to change your life, even at your big age, especially since the gaming community tends to err on the younger side. And also another allegory for just cancer and death, considering those are two things that are personal to me.
Totally. That's cool. That sounds like it's got multiple, I don't know if factors is the right word, multiple themes going for it.
Themes, yeah. I think it should be layered without being complicated, because I think a lot of games sometimes do too much. But if you link your themes together in a coherence, make it as complex and still relatable.
Totally.
So that's where the writing.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to funding that. My last question for you for today is, what is your one piece of wisdom to leave with the world? If you had to choose one.
I know. I've been such a goddamn drunken auntie. I think given everything happening, the one piece of wisdom I would give you is to, for the love of everything we hold dear, show empathy. Be kind. I know it's so cheesy and people throw that shit around on social media all the time, but I fucking mean it, guys. Like, I mean it. This is a pivotal year in everything, not just gaming. It's, we have an election coming up. Have a lot of people who were laid off. We have a lot of jobs that are becoming more unavailable. Prices are going up. There's a lot of things outside of gaming that are affecting you directly here. Everything is linked. Have to show empathy for somebody who is going, because you will be there at one point. You cannot judge somebody on their worst days. You cannot judge somebody based on face value these days. It's not as simple anymore. People are going through it. People who look nice might be dying inside. People who are acting evil might be your best friend the next day. You have to do is show empathy, because if you don't, we all suffer.
Good. Beautiful. Once again, I agree with that. We can't control what's happening with the world, but you can control whether you show empathy or not. So choose empathy.
Only control what you do. You cannot control what others do, but you control what you do.
Briggsy, thank you so much for joining me on this wonderful podcast.
Finished my milk.
That's awesome. Yeah, I finished my coffee and I have like some water to chug down.
Hell yeah. No, but honestly, thank you for having me. This was very nice. I thought having been out of the podcast game for a few years, I thought I was going to completely, utterly muck it up.
Wow, it was fun.
But I am dead serious. I will do a part 2 if there's interest, because there's a lot of these other questions I kind of still want to answer.
Yeah.
They're very good.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
So, yeah.
If you do want to see a part 2, leave a comment and let me know below, whether it is on Instagram or YouTube, or just DM me. Like, my DMs are open. I'm super happy chatting with whoever's listening. And let me know what you thought of the episode. And Briggsy, where can people find you?
You can find me almost everywhere. Excuse me. No secret. You will try to just look up Briggsycakes everywhere. If you look up Briggsycakes, Twitter, not calling it X, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, all Briggsycakes. I usually stream between Mondays and Thursdays generally, but my schedule's a little off kilter recently because of classes. But I usually stream at night around 5 p.m. PST. For the weekends, I start around mid-afternoon, around between noon and 2. I'm currently streaming Yakuza Man Erased His Name and Persona 5 Royal.
Oh, yeah.
And hopefully tomorrow I can finally start GTA 4.
GTA 4? Very cool. Bringing it back.
GTA 6 coming out. I got to get my shit together.
That's awesome.
It'll be my first GTA 4 game in a long time. So that'll be, just find me at Briggsycakes everywhere. I'm like Sam. I'm very open to DMs. I'm open to answering questions. Please follow him. And I will say thank you, because again, after everything that's going on, it's just nice to see that there are still some good people in this industry, and not just because you're talking to me, because you're genuine.
Thank you.
And it gives me hope.
Thank you.
So,
thanks for the kind words. We'll have all the links to your things below as well. If you want to chat with me, I am Samson XP on all the socials, or at Grow Up Level Up. And that is where you can find the podcast next episode and whatever's coming out. Oh, and if you really, really like this episode, check out patreon.com/@GrowUpLevelUp.
Give all your money.
Give me all your $1 if you can afford
Donating.
it. Times are tough, you know.
Yes, please. I can't, but I fine. I'm gonna hold my cat out so I can get that dollar.
It's about time they paid rent.
Exactly. Look at her. She's being a bum with her. See her
Yes, come check out the video version for those listening on audio, because Sombra was her name. She was crawling around being real cute. All right, bonus couple seconds here as Briggsy gets Sombra over.
Show the video over. Last 1 minute, jeez.
All right, never mind.
Nail a part bit.
Never mind.
It's fine. We'll see her in part 2. If you upload this, we'll see her
let me know
part
if you guys want a part 2. But Briggsy, thank you so much. I'll talk to you next time. See you.
Adios.